Hey everyone, it's Mega Champ again with yet another Full Thoughts video. There's really nothing else for me to say right now. It has been very boring still, mostly for the most part. Pretty much. I mean, D23 is coming up. Oh, goody. Don't get your hopes up, seriously. I'm not even kidding around. Do not get your hopes up. Anything is obviously possible, but just don't get your hopes up. I have learned far too many times at this point, but that's not important. That's not the point. Like I said, this is a full thoughts video for the most recent game I completed, which, if you recall from my last full thoughts video, which probably was literally my last video, it is time for me to give my full thoughts for Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. The Souls-like, or if you want to be nitpicky, since a lot of people have been nitpicky with me about this, the Souls-like inspired Final Fantasy game. Yeah, a lot of people being nitpicky, but that just seems to be normal at this point. Again, not the point. As far as I'm concerned, I consider this game a Souls-like, but you can call this game whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's a Souls-like inspired game. So, let's just leave it at that. As always, as per normal, as usual, I will be briefly going over the story of the game, the characters of the game, the world of the game where the game takes place, the graphics of the game, and the gameplay of the game. Also, as normal, I am not an expert on any of this. I'm not an expert on a lot of things. This is just how I personally feel about the game and my personal feelings, thoughts, and opinions and experiences on this game. And everyone's feelings, thoughts, experiences, and opinions are going to be different at the end of the day. You can have your opinion, everyone can have their opinion. So that means I can have my opinion. So with that spiel out of the way, there's really nothing else for me to say. I'm not even going to say I don't have a lot to say, because every time I say that, I end up talking for like 30 to 45 minutes. So I'm not even gonna try and say that at this point. Though I do kind of feel like there's not really a whole lot for me to say, but we'll see how that goes. So I did play this game for the PlayStation 5. It is on other platforms, but there is your sort of context. I will be only discussing the PlayStation 5 version because that is the version that I played. And also, just like I mentioned previously, I played this game on the easiest difficulty, which in this particular case is casual story mode. That is the easiest difficulty for this game. And the reason I played it on that is I couldn't complete and finish the very first demo that was available for this game until I switched to easy. And because of the fact that it's a Souls-like or Souls-like inspired game, of course I'm going to play it on the easiest difficulty. Nobody is ever going to be able to explain to me or make me understand why people get enjoyment out of taking 20 to 50 plus attempts to beat a certain boss in a Souls-like inspired game. How that gives you enjoyment, I don't know and I don't understand, and clearly I will never understand. It's the masochists, I guess, if you want to call it that. If you somehow get enjoyment out of taking 20 to 50 plus attempts just to beat a certain enemy or a certain boss or a certain level, good for you, I guess. You're a masochist, but everyone has their preferences at the end of the day, I guess. Look, I don't care. I played this game on the easiest difficulty. I refused to struggle in this game. I'm sorry. If you want to act like it's a skill issue or that I should get good, yeah, you go right ahead and make that little comment. And then my response to that is cry me a river. Okay, we're done being mean, quote unquote, or shooting, quote unquote. We're going to actually talk about this game. The story of this game. And also, I will try my best to not give too many spoilers. Though in this particular game's case, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard. So if I do give some spoilers here or there, forgive me. Or stop watching now, I guess. So if you don't like the fact that I played this game on the easiest difficulty, you can stop watching now and go watch someone else. Seriously, do that. Instead of being a mental 5-year-old and typing, hey, get good, you play your skill issue, Cry me a river. Okay, now we're done. So the story of the game. You want to know what the story of this game is? It's literally what the memes suggested. Your mission is to kill chaos. That's it. I don't know what else to... No. But yes, Jack, Jed, and Ash, although there are more party members, there's actually technically 5, but we'll get into that in a bit. The first 3 characters of the game, Jack, Jed, and Ash, their mission is to kill chaos, and that's all they know. So supposedly chaos is in this shrine or temple or whatever you want to call it, and they eventually manage to convince the king of what is basically the Final Fantasy I world to let them try, because they're trying to wait for the Warriors of Light from the prophecy, Final Fantasy I. But everyone is getting tired of waiting, so they let Jack, Jed, and Ash try. So that's what they go do. They try and go to kill chaos. But is it chaos? Is it really? Well, that's the question, I suppose. That is the question. So it turns out it's not actually chaos, minor spoiler, but this is just literally the beginning of the game, so it's not that big of a deal. So pretty much the remainder of the game is you trying to find chaos and kill it. But you do also do other things. That's as far as I can go in terms of story of the game, without actually giving massive and major spoilers for the entire game. I mean, the story is kind of interesting and unique at first. But if you want brutal honesty, here it is. After the initial intrigue of the game, if you want to call it that, the rest of it is very bland and very boring and very meh. If you want to use that wonderful word known as mid, I guess you can use that word if you want to be harsh. There's kind of a reason why I am not going to personally use that word. It's kind of a spoiler, but I don't want to really say it right at this present time. But there is a reason why I'm not going to use the word mid to describe this game. And the reason for that is that even after the initial intrigue of the game is over, the majority of the rest of the game is very meh, very boring, and very bland. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the game. I did. But in terms of the story of the game, at least, the majority of it is very mid, or not mid, sorry, I just used the word even though I said I wouldn't. Very meh, very boring, and very bland. And I wish that wasn't the case, but I'm being brutally honest here, and this is just my own personal feelings, thoughts, and opinions. But for me personally, the majority of the story of the game is boring, bland, and meh. I'm sorry, it just is. It just is. You want brutal honesty? There you go. It's very boring, very bland, very meh. That is until around near the end of the game. And I will admit to you that around the end of the game, it does get interesting again. So if you can sort of slog your way through the mediocrity, if you want to use that word or term, if you can slog your way through the mediocrity, it does get better and does increase in terms of the story around near the end of the game. And something happens that actually not a lot of games do. And is very unique as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me personally. There may be a lot of games that actually do it that I'm not aware of, but as far as all of the games I have experienced and played, it's not something that a lot of games do. So I'm not going to sort of bash it or criticize it, or again, whatever word you want to use for that. But unfortunately, the story for the majority of the game is very boring, very bland, very meh. But it is worth it if you can slog your way through that. Not much else to say. Just so you know, before I start talking about the characters, I did not and I will not be playing any of the DLC for this game. There is DLC for this game. There's actually 3. I will not be playing any of them. And that is because the only difficulty you can play any one of the DLCs on is the hardest difficulty. Chaos mode. Ha! Aptly named. You really think I'm gonna play a Souls-like or a Souls-like inspired game on a hard difficulty or on the hardest difficulty? You really think I'm gonna do that? No, I'm not. So so my thoughts is just on the main story and the main game only, and not the DLC. As one specific person on a Discord server that I honestly don't get along with is claiming the DLC is required, quote unquote, I don't care. I'm not playing on a hard difficulty. I'm sorry. Will I watch the DLC? I don't even know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if it's even worth it. But there you go. If you don't like that, stop watching. The characters of the game. Technically, there are 5. Jack, Jed, Ash, Sophia, and Neon. 2 of those are technically a spoiler character, but unless I actually tell you the context, it's not really that much of a spoiler. In terms of the characters, they're alright. Nothing amazing, nothing horrible. The characters are good in their own way. They're very amusing. Yes, amusing is definitely the proper word here. Because there's really nowhere else for me to talk about this. And that's the dialogue with Jack and his party members. It's actually pretty decent. Normally I don't talk about, dialogue or character dialogue or character interaction or whatever you want to call it. But I will in this case, and that's because it's actually pretty good. I'd even say it's very amusing. And by amusing, I mean funny. And not in a bad way. In this particular case, it's a good way. And that's because of the one-liners from Jack. I swear, this guy. His party members will say something and he'll just go like, I don't care. And then his party members will say something at a different point and they'll go like, not my problem. Basically, Jack is only focused on killing Chaos, and that's literally it, and he doesn't care about any of this other stuff that his party members try to talk to him about. So, in a way, I guess you could make the argument or say that he doesn't care about his friends, but That's the truth, but also not the truth. Because there are character moments between Jack and his other party members that is kind of wholesome, if you want to use that word, where he does actually like them and respect them. It's just the one-liners that are just, oh my god. That's the best way for me to describe it. So if you play this game for any reason, it's definitely should be for the dialogue. It's actually pretty great and very amusing and very funny and very meme-ish. Again, if you want to use that term and phrase, very meme-ish. It goes much farther than that initial meme of, chaos, 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 chaos. It goes much further than that. The characters are fine. They do get character development. It's not that they don't. And so there's actually some pretty shocking things revealed and discovered about the characters. All of the other characters that's not Jack, I mean. And I'm not going to say why, in case you want to play and experience the game for yourself. But let's just say it happens to do with 4 specific bosses. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Figure it out for yourself after that. So, the characters are good. I'm not saying they aren't. They are. I would say they do have good, at least slightly decent, I'm not going to say it's amazing, but slightly decent character development for them. But you do kind of have to slog through the sort of mediocrity of the story to get that. So there is good character development and character interaction and definitely good and amusing dialogue. It's not like it's not there, it is. It's not really so much there for Sophia, I guess, but for everyone else there is, and it's there. But, the characters are fine. I mean, I guess the most important character in this game is Jack, but the characters are fine. I don't really know what else to say. I feel like I'm kind of saying the same thing here. But, it's not like amazing character development, but I'd say it's pretty decent. I did like the characters, at least me personally, but, they're there. And they do things. And then Jack gives his one-liners. And then they... I swear. So the world of the game, where the game takes place. Nothing to really say here. Except that it's basically the Final Fantasy 1 world. Or an alternate reality or alternate universe or whatever word you want to use for it. Or, multiverse, whatever word you want to use, of the Final Fantasy 1 world, because Cornelia is in it. That's about one of the only things I know about Final Fantasy 1, and that's only because I watched a playthrough of the Dissidia games. Wish I was joking. That's about all I know about the Final Fantasy 1 is Cornelia. So it takes place in an alternate version of the Final Fantasy 1 world, basically. But here's the thing, and here's another good thing that I'll say about the game that I feel like an idiot about and took me way too long to realize. Every single area in the game, or level in the game, whatever you want to call it, the setting of the game of, the places that you go to and explore and fight the monsters and the bosses. I'll just describe them as levels, but you can call it whatever you want. Every level of the game is based off of a past area from a past Final Fantasy game. From Final Fantasy 1 all the way to Final Fantasy 15. Every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Yes, I just counted to 15. I'm trying to make a point here. From Final Fantasy 1 to Final Fantasy 15, there is a level that is based on every single one of them. And I wish I had realized it sooner. And it wasn't until the snow area where I was sitting and playing it and looking at my guide, and then I'm going like, wait a minute, that sounds like the Mount Gagazet theme from Final Fantasy X. I'd notice that anywhere, or I'd recognize that anywhere. And they're going like, oh shit, I need to check something. So I checked the description of the area, and it said Dimension 10. Dimension 10. Do you get it now? I wish I had realized it sooner, and I feel like an idiot for not realizing it sooner, and for it to take me that long to realize it. But hey, at least I realized it, I guess. I liked that. I really did. I thought it was really cool of them to do something based off of every single Final Fantasy game. Every single one. So that was nice and really unique, and I loved it. That was really good. Thumbs up there. Big thumbs up. A+. Loved that. Yes, there's a Final Fantasy VII area. Yes, there's a Final Fantasy 15 area. What did I just say? There's a area based off of every single Final Fantasy game from 1 to 15. Nothing on 16, obviously, because 16 came out after this game, but you get the point. I really liked that. Wish I had realized it sooner. I guess all that matters is that I eventually realized it. I really liked that. It's great. Love that. I kind of wish they would do that more. And that's just me being brutally honest. It's a spin-off game, so they can get away with it. But spin-off games are probably dead and buried for good now, so rip to that. But I do wish they would do that more. I'm not going to recognize anything that's not from maybe 4, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 15 are the only ones I'm going to recognize stuff from. So I may not really know it all that much, but I still appreciate it and I still like it. So I did like that. Graphics of the game. Well, I played the PlayStation 5 version. They're pretty good. I mean, nothing is perfect. With it being a Souls-like or Souls-like inspired game and an M-rated game, if you couldn't already tell, they fit what they were trying to portray, which was something akin to an M-rated game. You know, blood, arms being cut off, wings being ripped off of enemies, so on and so forth. Although they did kind of disguise the blood as red crystals, which I thought was kind of unique. But the graphics are pretty decent, I feel like. They fit what they were trying to portray and what it was clearly and obviously inspired from. So the graphics were fine. I'm not going to pretend like it was the best thing ever. I did get some lag occasionally, and it did kind of look like there was some frame drops every now and then. So, you know, that sort of thing is kind of always going to be there, I guess. But, you know, it's good for what they were trying to use it for. That's really all that matters, as far as I'm concerned anyway, for graphics. So it's fine. I thought they were good. That's just me. But I'm no expert on graphics or gameplay, as we all know. These are definitely the categories or subjects that I'm the least expert on, or the least knowledgeable on, so. Gameplay, it's fun. It's a Souls-like, what do you expect? I've seen people on Discord say it's more like Neo with a job system. I never played Neo, so I don't even know what Neo is. So I have no idea what you're even talking about. Hey, I'm just being honest here. The gameplay was fine. You also have to keep in mind I was playing it on the easiest difficulty. The only time I really struggled was against Tonberries. I hate them. I hate them so much. And one particular level where there was a laser shooting at you at one point. That was really the only time I died in the game. Was the Tonberries and the one level with the stupid laser. That was literally it. I didn't die against any of the bosses. Again, because of the difficulty I was playing on. But that's just me, okay? I did not want to be frustrated, and I did not want to struggle in this game. I'm sorry. So of course I was gonna play on the easiest difficulty. Because I couldn't finish the very first demo. Until I switched to easy. What else? What do you want me to say here? I mean, I don't know what else to say. You can play it on whatever difficulty you want, okay? If for some reason you like taking 20 to 50 attempts to beat a level, to beat an enemy, to beat a boss, good for you. That's not me. That's not for me. That's not what I like. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. Play it however you want. And then I will play it however I want. Can't we just leave it there? The gameplay was fine. Very fun. A little frustrating here and there. I would say my favorite classes was the Lance ones. The Lancer and the Dragoon. Anything with a spear. I liked that one the most. Anything with a sword as well. The mage was fun, but it's not the easiest to use. I'm not good at magic classes. I'm sorry. I never have, and I clearly never will be. But that's just me. If you're good at using the mage classes, then I'm happy for you. Then you'll probably like the mage classes, but you know, I'm just not great at the mage classes. But my personal favorite jobs, if you want to use that term, and classes were the lance ones. Lancer, Dragoon, anything with a spear, and the sword ones. So, that was my favorite. The gameplay, yeah, it was fun. It's not like it wasn't hard at times. It was with the Tonberries and sometimes being overwhelmed by enemies or not having a large enough MP gauge or not having any MP at all. So it's not like it was a complete breeze. It was a little frustrating and a struggle at times, but because of the fact that I played on the easiest difficulty, yes, it was mostly easy and mostly fun. But that's because of the difficulty I was playing on. But I've gone on about that probably too much as it is already. So there you go. So yeah, nothing else to really say about the gameplay. That's pretty much it, believe it or not. Nothing else I can really think of to say. I mean, it's a Souls-like game, or a Souls-like inspired game, like I said. These are not styles or types of games that I particularly like to play or care to play, because they are very clearly too hard for me. I'm lucky this game even had a difficulty option. If it didn't have a difficulty option, I wouldn't have played it. That's just brutal honesty. And honestly, I probably won't play another Souls-like or another Souls-like inspired game probably ever again, let's be honest. Because they're just too hard for me. I'm sorry, they just are. That's why I realized that Hollow Knight was too hard for me, and I dropped it literally one day before I was going to play it. And the same situation for roguelikes. I'm sorry, I don't like dying constantly. That is not something I enjoy, and that is not something I will ever enjoy. I don't know why people enjoy that. You can try to explain it to me all you want. I will still never understand, and I probably never will understand. But it is what it is. Souls-likes and roguelikes just aren't my style of game. So because of that, I'm not gonna, I'm not going to act like this isn't the case because it clearly is. Because of that, that's probably why I didn't really like this game all that much. That really probably is. But you don't have to worry. I probably won't play a Souls-like or a Souls-like inspired game ever again. I mean, maybe Phantom Blade Zero is like that, but even the developers came out and said that it was only inspired by a Souls-like. It's not a Souls-like. And I'm still unsure on that game. Stellar Blade was like that. And I'm probably going to have to play that game on easy because of how much I struggled in the demo, as you saw. But, I don't know. I liked Stellar Blade a little too much, so I'll bear with it. And, you know, learning and overcoming is kind of a part of the appeal, I guess. Maybe that is the appeal. But I don't like feeling rage and feeling the temptation to throw my controller across the room or throw my console out my window or to chuck it into the nearest lake or ocean. I'm sorry, I don't want that temptation. I don't. I don't want that temptation. So it's just not my type and style of game. So it probably did have an overall effect on my enjoyment on this game. But it had Final Fantasy in its title. That was literally the only reason I got it. Again, brutal honesty. I don't have to worry about this ever again, probably, in all likelihood. Because of the Square Enix news a couple of months ago. We are probably never getting spin-offs ever again. They are likely dead and buried for good. It sucks because I would have personally liked a world of Final Fantasy II. But it's also good in the sense that we are probably never getting a Stranger of Paradise 2. There's no reason for it anyway, but I'm just saying. The spin-off games, the spin-off franchises of Final Fantasy and the other Square Enix IPs, they are likely dead and buried for good. So I don't really have to worry ever again. It's not going to happen. So, or at least it most likely happen. I shouldn't say anything definitively because there's always a chance, obviously. But spin-off games are more than likely dead and buried for good. So we're not going to get a Stranger of Paradise 2. And if there is one, somehow, I don't think there will be, I probably won't get it because it's just going to be the same situation as this where I won't really like it because it's a Souls-like or a Souls-like inspired game. I kind of wish there would be a world of Final Fantasy 2. It's in my pipe dream list now. World of Final Fantasy 2, that is. But in this particular case, it's probably for the best. So there you go. That's the story of the game, the characters of the game, the world of the game, the graphic where the game takes place, the graphics of the game, and of course the gameplay of the game. Here's your oh so precious Metacritic score. Mostly mixed. 7 is C range. Of course, the counter argument to that, which gets shoved down my throat constantly on the Crunchyroll Discord, is C's get degrees. You can go to the Metacritic page yourself if you want to read the full reviews. Do I agree with this? I'd say so. I would probably give this, my personal score for this game would probably be a 75 or a 7.5. So higher than the critic score, but a little lower than the user score. Excuse me, I have to cough. Jeez, sorry. Let me take a drink. Maybe that'll help. Sorry. I don't edit my videos, sorry. Anyway, my personal score would be 7.5, so a little lower than the user score, but higher than the Metacritic score. Probably the only reason I would give it a 7.5, I hate being a broken record, is because of the fact that I don't really like Souls-like games or Souls-like inspired games. That's probably the reason. So it's not a horrible game. It's not a great game, but it's better than Tales of Arise. Ooh, I buried it again. Anyway. Would I recommend it? Well, it depends. If you like Souls-like games or Souls-like inspired games, then yes, I recommend it. If you're a masochist and you like taking 20 to 50 plus attempts to beat levels and enemies and bosses, yes, I would recommend it. I would recommend this game mostly because of the dialogue between the characters and because of Jack, and kind of what they do at the end of the game in terms of the story. But if Souls-like games are not your type of game, then maybe not. I mean, if you want to play it on easy like I did, then go ahead. I'm not the one who can decide for you. You have to make this decision for yourself. Would I recommend this game? I mean, if you want me to say yes or no, I would probably say yes. But here's the sort of caveat or the condition for that yes. Play it on the easiest difficulty. That way you're not frustrated constantly and tempted to throw your console or whatever platform you choose to play it on into a nearby ocean or lake or water source. Jeez. Sorry. So play it on the easiest difficulty so you're not frustrated and not tempted to throw it into a nearby water source. And I would recommend it only because of the dialogue, because it is very amusing and very funny. That would be the only reason I would recommend this game, is the dialogue. And I would say the areas that are based off of the past Final Fantasy games. It's a fun game, but it is kind of a slog through most of it because it's not interesting in the slightest. It's up to you. It's up to you. Make your own decision. I would recommend it for the dialogue, but the story is a slog. And if you don't want to be frustrated, then play it on the easiest difficulty. But that's just me. That's just me. Clearly. Obviously. And I did not stream it. Again, obviously. Because I didn't want constant, ridiculous, mental 5-year-old bullshit from people. Get good, her. Just a skill issue. Yeah, I wasn't going to put up with that. Nobody watches my streams, but I'm this better safe than sorry type. Hey, look, it's the Poyo Poyo. So yeah, Switch game means no stream of it. Ugh, what a shock. My next game is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Oh boy. Oh boy. The demo of this was absolutely amazing. It was. That's just me. It was goddamn amazing. If that's what the whole game is like, from start to finish, Pokemon Legends Arceus might be in trouble at the end of the year. I'm just saying. Wow. Imagine a Nintendo game actually takes home my personal game of the year. Technically, it did a couple of years ago, but it was a 3DS game and it was also a Tales of game, so it doesn't count. Who knows? Make up your own mind. But Kirby and the Forgotten Land is next. Oh, goody. Oh, goody. I've heard nothing but good things about this game. I've heard people say it's the best Kirby game ever. I'm not even joking. I have seen people say it's the best Kirby game ever. We'll see. People said Legends Arceus was the best Pokemon game ever, and look how that went. I don't like calling a game the best of a franchise ever. That's not something I personally like to do. So there you go, but we'll see. I haven't really played a lot of Kirby games. I didn't start playing Kirby games until the Nintendo Wii, I think. Yeah, because I think my first Kirby game was Return to Dreamland. I'm not even kidding. That was when I first started playing the Kirby franchise and started playing Kirby games for real. And that was only after watching playthroughs of the rest of the games on YouTube. Mostly the, the Game Boy and Game Boy Advanced ones. And the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo ones. The Dreamland, all the Dreamland franchise, Superstar, that stuff. That was when I started playing Kirby games, was on Wii. So there's not really a lot of games in terms of what I can compare it with in terms of is it the best Kirby game ever. It's a wait and see situation. I'm looking forward to it. After Pokemon Legends Arceus, this was the one I was the most looking forward to. Brutal honesty. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you how I feel, and that's all there is to it. And then you can agree with me if you want. Just don't be a mental 5-year-old about if you disagree with me. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I am looking forward to this greatly. But there you go. That's Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty good game. Not horrible. Not great either. But it was enjoyable. Let's put it that way. It was enjoyable. That's a good word for it. Enjoyable. Not very enjoyable, but, well, maybe in terms of dialogue, but enjoyable to say the least. All right, I'm ranting, I'm rambling, I'm saying the same thing constantly. I have once again gone over 40 minutes. I told you so. But there you go. I don't know when I'm going to stream again. There is a demo coming out tomorrow for Gory Cuddly Carnage that I'm going to get so many frustrations out. I don't know if I'm going to stream it tomorrow. Maybe. Depends. Or maybe I'll save it for next week or the weekend or whenever I find time. We'll see. We'll see. But I am going to stream the Gory Cuddly Carnage demo, so there you go. In terms of an actual stream of a game that's not a demo, I don't know. Because I'm going to be honest with you, after this is a PS3 franchise. Yes, you heard me. It's going to be still a long time. That's the point. That is the point. Oh well. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Still very boring. I still have something planned for I think it's still inevitable. The inevitable Pokemon Presents this month. I still have a certain something planned that nobody is gonna like. I still have that planned. I just pushed it. Other than that, it's still very boring, unless something unbelievable happens at D23. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but just don't get your hopes up. That's where I'll leave it. And now it's time for me to kind of reveal the unique thing that this game did. That is a massive spoiler. if you can figure it out. I'm not going to outright say it, I will hint it. So if you don't want massive spoilers, stop watching now. 3, 2, 1. Here's your hint. Tales of Berseria did it at the beginning of the game. There's a well-known saying, too, that also hints at something unique that this game did that not many others do or does. And it's the saying that goes like this. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. There's your hint. See if you can logic the rest of it out for yourself. That's all I got for you. If anything happens, obviously I will let you know, and there will be a video maybe if I deem it worthy of it. But if something does happen at D23, maybe. We'll see. Other than that, it's still very boring, so we'll see what happens, but until then, that's all I got for you. This is Mega Champ saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. Boyo! What? Anyway. Bye!